Hey there, this is Carrie Karen with Stamp Crafting Masters. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in southern New Mexico in the United States of America. I've been wanting to do this video for a while now, and what I'm going to talk about today is the Stampin' Up! Paper Trimmer. I love this tool. I want to tell you all about it first of all. It's got a clear arm here to protect you from cutting yourself. It locks in the two different blades that are located and slide up and down on the clear arm. And it holds the paper in place when you have a piece of paper and you decide to cut it. You're going to put it in here and it holds it in place. It also stores an extra blade when it's not in use. So if I'm not using the scoring blade, which is the light colored blade, I might place it up at the top, or if I'm not using the cutting blade, I'll place it down here at the bottom. So it also has an extension arm that extends out to measure to 17 inches, so that when you are measuring paper, maybe you're using a 12 by 12 sheet or even larger, you can cut all the way to the edge that you want. So let me tell you a little bit more about those blades I was talking about earlier. Like I mentioned, the light colored blade is a scoring blade. A scoring blade is used to put a dent into the paper so that you can better fold that piece of paper in the future. The cutting blade is the dark colored blade, and this blade slides up and down and it cuts in both directions. You do want to use caution not to run your finger along this edge while this arm is open, because you will get cut, so don't do that. The board also has measurements across the top and across the side and across the bottom, as well as along that extension arm. You can see it's in centimeters and millimeters, as well as inches, and our inches go down all the way to a 1/16 of an inch. So it's got metric and it's got imperial measurements. On the back of the piece of equipment, we have rubber feet that are located throughout different areas. Mine is currently missing a couple rubber feet, and I'm going to show you how to replace those right now. But before I do that, I want to let you know the reason that these come off is because they are silicone, and the silicone rubber feet are very difficult to get to stick to things. So attaching them back on with glue or hot glue or anything like that really doesn't work all that ideally. So what I did is I went to the store and I purchased these clear bumpers. They're designed for the inside of your cabinets in your kitchen. And I just got a 16 pack. And when you take them out of the wrapper, they look like this. And you simply peel them up. They are 3/8 of an inch. I peel off the sticky part, right, and it's kind of difficult because you do have to kind of pull on the silicone to separate it from what it's attached to. You can see that right there. It pulls apart. And then you're going to find the area that is missing a foot. And I found that the 3/8 inch just happens to fit right inside that little groove. So I squish it down into the edges, and then I simply push it firmly into place. And that replaces the silicone feet that had fallen off, that looked more like these two that are still in place over here. So I need one more over here. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And while I'm talking about that, this machine or this piece of equipment, tool, whatever you want to call it, it does work with missing feet, but when it starts to slip and slide on your countertop, or if it is wobbly, then that's when you want to think about replacing all of the feet. Now I just replaced mine this morning, and now when I flip it over, you can see it's nice and level. It doesn't teeter in any way, and it doesn't shift on my desktop at all. So I really like that. I found that those fit, and I was really happy to come up with that. Another feature that this tool has is this hook up here. This is designed so that you can hang it on a hook and maybe store it inside on a wall someplace. I have a dream box and I just keep mine hooked up on the inside of one of my very small areas. The other thing that I love about this is that it can cut up to 3 pieces of cardstock with ease. I typically don't do more than 2 just so that I can save my blade. The more difficult or the thicker the material that your blade is going through, the more quickly your blade will dull. There are replacement blades available from Stampin' Up. You can get those through my store anytime. Let's see, what else can I tell you? You do want to avoid cutting anything other than paper. For example, if you could cut sandpaper or even the glitter paper that Stampin' Up! Has often, but just keep in mind that that is going to dull that blade a little more quickly. This is a great trimmer because it's got this guide up at the top. There's a little ledge right here. You can kind of see it here. See if I can get it to show you better from this angle. It's got that edge at the top. It's also got one at the bottom, and it has one across the side if you're cutting at exactly 6 inches. So when you're cutting a 12 by 12 piece of DSP and you want to cut it exactly in half, it's super easy. You just slide it up against the edge and up against the top, and you've got a perfectly square area to cut. Now right in here, this is the groove or the channel that the cutting blade goes into that allows it to cut through the paper. So how do you use this? It does have a little bit of a locking mechanism at the top. It's a little tab. I'm going to go ahead and show you that. So you can see this little tab right here. It's a little button, and then it just snaps into place. And that holds the arm, so when it's upside down, it doesn't fly around, and it locks it into place. It's got 2 places to grab to open. You can open from here, or you can open from here. I find it's easier to open from the top because of that locking mechanism. Sometimes when you open from here, it kind of hangs up on that top latch. For maintenance, it's super easy. All you have to do is wipe it down with a clean cloth. You can use alcohol wipes if you get some glue stuck on it. You do want to keep this channel clear. I use the spatula edge of my Take-A-Pick tool. This is a Take-A-Pick tool from Stampin' Up. That's another item you could purchase on my website. You just take your edge and you slide it through here, and you can remove any of the paper dust that will collect in there over time. So if you feel your cutting blade hanging up a little bit, that's an indication that either the blade is very dull and needs to be replaced, or the channel might just be full of paper dust, and you can go ahead and remove it with your tool. Another thing that works is a scrap piece of paper. So if I have a scrap piece of paper, you can take the corner of it, slide it through that edge, and that too will clean out that channel. You do want to keep it clear of anything so that it cuts your paper nice and clean. All right, a couple of things that I have added to my paper trimmer. You might notice this 1/4 inch piece of 12-inch piece of paper. So it's 12 inches long and 1/4 inch wide. It's white paper. I just attached it with glue dots, and that's so that I can read these numbers across here a lot more clearly. It's very easy to see where my paper is when I'm cutting my paper. So for example, let's say I'm ready to make some cards. I'm going to take my 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. I typically open it at the top. I'm going to score. So that means I'm going to use that light colored blade at 4 1/4. So I find my 4-inch mark. And it counts off from the channel both directions. So 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, or 1 inch and exactly 1.5 inches all the way to the edge. So I'm going to make 2 card bases. So I want to score down the middle at 4 1/4. Light colored blade. Make sure you have that light colored one for scoring. I like to go 2 or 3 times. That's purely technique. You can go as many or as few times as you need to get the type of fold that you want. You can see here what that looks like. It dents it in on the back side. We call this a little bit of a mountain because it is raised from this side, and you want to fold on the mountain. But we're not quite ready to fold yet. Our card bases here in the United States are 5.5 by 4.25. And that just happens to cut this piece of paper directly in half. Again, I'm going to measure across 5.1/2. I'm going to ensure that the line is lined up, pushed up against the top so my paper doesn't slip, and here along the edge, following this line. Nicely enough, this line that is on the extension arm is at exactly 5.5. I'm sure that was by design. And now I have my 2 card bases. So here's another trick that I use. I always fold my cards using my paper trimmer. Have you ever built a card and when you're looking at the folded card base, you notice that it's not even on either side? Well, the way you can make sure that it's always even 100% of the time, slide it against the side, slide it to the bottom, roll it until your edges meet in the corner, kind of tap it in place, and you're going to take it and push and fold. I do oftentimes use a bone folder to get a nice crisp edge, but for demonstration purposes here and to save time, I'm not going to bother. And now you can see I have no uneven edges here or along the sides. Sometimes if you fold it without that, you might end up with something like this. And then you have to decide, oh, which is the front of the card, which is the back. Folding with your paper cutter, you never have to make that choice. You always have a perfect fold. Okay, that's it for my quick demonstration of the paper trimmer. I hope you enjoyed this little demonstration. This paper trimmer is available also on my website, or just go to Stampin'Up.com and search for Carrie Karen as your demonstrator. And that last name is spelled C-A-R-R-O-N. First name's Carrie, K-E-R-R-Y. Have a great day, and as always, keep your focus on faith, family, friends, and fun.